Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I want to welcome you here, whether you're watching us live or on replay. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, if you haven't already done so, please visit theconsciousawakeningnetwork.org and sign up to be on our mailing list, and that way you can attend our meetings live. But we also love it when you watch us on YouTube or Amazon or Apple TV, Android TV, when you listen to us on Spotify. Thank you so much for that also. Now, I'm really excited tonight because our special guest is Esther Gates, and my co-host for the month is the amazing Marilyn Harper. But not only is Marilyn amazing, she is the amazing Marilyn birthday girl tonight. So happy birthday, Marilyn. I hope you've had a beautiful day. And thank you so much for sharing it with us.
It is my honor, and I'm so thankful to be here with you, Sheila.
Well, thanks so much. And I want to take just another minute because for those of you who do not know Marilyn, you definitely want to get to know this lady. She is an international speaker and teacher. She is inspirational, humorous, and provides practical information and techniques for navigating life. She is also a channel and a messenger for the interdimensional company of Anaranda, a 17th dimensional being who is the spokesbeing for the Council of Light, consisting of archangels and ascended masters who have walked this planet. She teaches many things, including the holographic healing, which we had an opportunity to talk a little bit about last week. She also teaches channeling, which we'll get to talk about a little tonight, and how to live in the frequency of infinite possibilities. So, Marilyn, thank you so much for being here.
It is my honor. I am so thankful to be here with you, Sheila. And, happy birthday to me, eh?
Yeah, happy birthday. Thanks.
And it's so fun to just watch you work and watch your program and I'm just grateful for you for this opportunity. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to just turn this right over to you and have you introduce our amazing guest for tonight.
Well, our guest for tonight is I don't know exactly when I met Esther. However, she jumped in with both feet to the very first of the Channelers Academy, and she has literally transformed herself and connected in so many different ways. She is a profound channel. She's a spokesperson and helps people go into the Akashic records. And she's actually developed a new technique of going into the Akashic records, which we'll
Hmm.
talk a little bit about later. And she does private sessions. She has so much to offer in the way of channeling and in the way of healing, because a lot of healing has to do with the emotional body, but she gets to that information through channeling her own guidance system and channeling the guidance system of anyone that she works with. So I would like to welcome Esther Gates. Esther, are you here with us?
Thank you, Marilyn. Yes, I am. Thank you for that introduction.
you know, it's so amazing when I've watched you grow over, the first year you were in the first year's class that we did the Channelers Academy. I think you were in the first class that how to channel even if you think you can't live class where we presented the academy and you jumped right on board. I think you were the very first person that registered.
Yes.
So I would like to just ask you a little bit about what drew you to channeling, what your process was, and how you went from where you were before to jump into channeling.
Okay. Well, we only have an hour, so I'll kind of sum up all those experiences as best I can. But I started out in a really Christian household where things like that weren't allowed, right? They weren't accepted. And so I didn't grow up with a sense of thinking, these types of things would happen to me. I did not. And so as I had intuition and I had feelings, and I had, when we went to field trips, I grew up in Virginia, to battlefields, I would get really awful feelings and not want to be there. I would feel the energy, a heavy energy around places like that. So those are the kind of things that I remember. But as I got older, I just began to question everything. And finally, my sister, she says, "Did you read that book I gave you?" And I said, I don't think so. I'm not sure what book it is. I can't remember. She goes, "You would have remembered if I gave, if you did it." And it was the Seth material. It was, validity of the soul. It was a Seth book. And the Seth was written by a channeler, Jane Roberts. And when I started researching her, I saw her channel and I couldn't believe it. She was so authentic. And I had never really heard anyone channel like that before. And these were very grainy videos from the 70s. She was a college teacher and her students took these films, but the words that she was saying still resonate. And so that was my first introduction. And so my first question was, who's doing this now? And how can I find them? And so I started doing my own research, and my sister had gotten what she needed from those books, but she never pursued it. So I had so many more questions. I felt so good from this experience. I started pursuing it. And I looked into some podcasts, and I found Lee Carroll through that, who channels Cryon. And Marilyn at the time was traveling with him and working with him. So that was how I met her. She doesn't remember probably, but she was on stage channeling and with Lee. And so I couldn't get enough of it. I loved it. I really loved it. And I kept asking, I started having information come in and I'm like, what should I do? And I kept hearing, nothing's off the table. Try everything. Try everything. So I was, I tried all different kinds of things, but it came into channeling was what I loved the most. And when Marilyn offered that class, I was already getting messages. I was already talking to my family about the messages I was getting for them, and they were open to that. So that sort of gave me the confidence that maybe there's something here more that I can learn. It wasn't going to look like everybody else's because we're all unique. And I remember getting the word unique and journaling, writing down unique. And, oh, I'm unique. It's going to be, because I felt kind of like I'm not going to be a Marilyn necessarily or channel like Lee Carroll, but yet I wanted to deliver information, right? So I didn't know what that was going to look like for me. So when Marilyn offered the class, I jumped on it because I thought I need experience. And that's what she gave me in the Channelers Academy. She brought us together as a group and she started giving instructions. And she also gave us practice partners. And those practice partners were all rotated. And we would get together during the week on our own. And we would practice channeling. And we would give each other turns. And she set down the little ground rules with us, about to, not criticize people, let them be encouraging. She said, always be encouraging, no matter what they're bringing through, allow them to do it. And I loved that because you were in a place where you could just relax and bring through what it was. We learned to use cards like tarot cards to bring in messages that way. We learned journaling. She taught us so much about different ways to channel. And I really appreciate that, Marilyn, because not everyone gets their information exactly the same way. And she would repeat that. She would say, this is how I get it, but you're going to get it the way you do. And so you're going to have to develop it for yourself. But she offered a support system and modules is what she called them. And I didn't know if she wanted to explain a little bit how they work.
Well, I can explain how the Channelers Academy works. In fact, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about the Academy more so, and everybody will get to meet Adironda and the Council of Light as to how I downloaded the class and then taught it. That each module that we teach, and each each connector, that each person that participates, um, they we take them level at a time, step at a time, into the way they get their information. Because, I've heard many people teach channeling that teach the way the teacher gets their information and trains you in that uh, formula. And that's not my belief. I believe that you find your own way, and I hold the space and help you delineate what's real, what's artificial, and what's imaginary, and things like that. And Esther, I have to say, you transformed yourself. I remember the very first time you had a session with me after you started the academy. I think it was several months into the academy, and you brought in my parents, and you were the first person to have ever brought them on in. And with that information and that energy, it was so powerful. I mean, no one had ever connected them, and you saw them, you sensed them, you got their information, and it was quite powerful for me. So I knew that you certainly had a gift for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So and you sort of reinvented yourself through channeling, and you had an experience actually while you were in the academy that changed everything. Uh, would you like to address? Some would call that a walk-in. And would you like to talk a little bit about that? Because I know Sheila wrote the book on walk-ins. So, so
No pressure here, right? To explain.
right, right.
Right. But sure. I was taking your class, and I kept getting messages because I was asking for the highest frequency possible in my body. Whenever I would do a meditation, and meditations were the way that I quieted my mind so I could get into a channeled state. I learned to stop those repetitive thoughts and really get into sometimes they were guided, sometimes they weren't. Marilyn, you offered those. I used yours and music. So I would get into these states, and then I would, when they were over, I would get information, and I would hear things like, for a while, your request has been granted. I'd say, okay. And then like a couple days would go by, and I'd do another one. And these would usually happen in the afternoon when I was very relaxed and the house was super quiet. And I'd hear, you can't take all of who you were with you in the new energy you're going. You can't take all that. Because there was times when I'd get depressed in the past, and feel stressed out and anxious. Like, you can't take all that with you, that image of yourself. You can't take that where you're going. And I would say, okay. I would just say, okay. I really didn't have any other questions for that. I just accepted it. And finally, one morning I was asleep, and I woke up, and I was completely disoriented in my bedroom. I was like, and I kept hearing in my head, this isn't my house. This isn't my house. Very loud. And I'm looking around trying to figure out where I am. This isn't my house. And finally, I calmed myself down enough to kind of touch my bed and kind of get in my body. And I thought, no, I'm at my house. I think I'm at my house. And they said, you're Esther. Kathy's gone. And they repeated it. And they repeated it really clearly, because I always ask, if I get information, it better be really clear, because I'm kind of a skeptic, right? And if I'm not 100% sure, I'm probably not going to believe it. So they really had to hit me on the head. And they were saying, you're Esther, Kathy's gone. And they repeated it several times. And finally I said, who is Esther? Tell me where Esther came from. What is this? I said, okay. And they said, Esther is a fifth dimensional version of you stepping in this time, because you wanted the highest frequency possible. So, which is what I was thinking, but they didn't say that. They just said, Esther is a fifth dimensional being. And so a version of you, because I said, how come I'm so comfortable with Esther? Like, I didn't feel completely different. I did not have some of the extreme experiences that you hear others have. I was pretty accepting of it. And they said, because she's a version of you. And I'm like, okay. And then I got a cup of coffee and I sat out on my porch and I started getting all this stuff in my head. These thoughts were leaving, thoughts were coming. It was all like a clearing, it very, very fast understanding of a bunch of things all at once. And I can't really explain it. I just know it happened. I started knowing a whole lot more, understanding more, accepting more. So it really upped the game, so to speak, in the way I was channeling. And I also had to decide, if I'm Esther, like, is this just going to be my name for on the screen, or am I going to be Esther? Because that meant I had to go change my name and tell my family, right? And all of this, who some of them may think that was a little strange, right? So I had to make a decision. So I gave myself some space and time to do that. And the first thing I did was tell my channeling friends, because I wanted to make sure that everything settled down and that I got a grip on it for myself and started integrating what was going on. And I asked many, many times to explain it to me again, explain it to me a different way. Exactly what are we talking about? Did my frequency raise so high? Am I in a different plane of existence? Did Esther drop into my world? And it was sort of like a meeting and a melding. So my frequency did raise way up. And to keep it up there, Esther came in and we melded, I guess is what it is, in consciousness. And the old person left. And so even now, when I think of the past, it seems very far away. I have to really think about it to bring up an old memory or something. It's not that I have total amnesia. It's just that it takes me time. And then, according to my family, this dinner I went to not that long ago, they were talking about things that happened to my kids in high school I had no memory of at all. They were saying, don't you remember the time? And I was like, I don't remember that. My husband did, but I did not. So there are things that for one reason or another, I have no memory of. And then there's things that when I try and recall them, it seems very far away, very different. Does that make sense? How I put that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely it as a walk-in myself, sometimes I feel like I'm going through the Rolodex of my past, to find
Yeah.
that memory. And
It was
it
like a fluttering of a movie in my head when she came in and I was on my porch with my coffee. It was just like that, like a movie passing through and starting something new here. It was a very almost like what people describe when they cross over, but I stayed in my body and did it. Right. So I got that experience.
exactly. And as Crown explained, I used to believe that it was another soul that came in to take the place of the first soul. But as Crown explained one time, it's your soul several generations more advanced.
That's
So,
kind of the way it felt. That's what they said. Yeah. Basically it. Yeah.
and and so, do you, and we'll take questions about your experience if we have anybody that asks questions or is interested a little later on,
Okay.
before you get to channel for us. And
Okay.
and we're excited about that too. But as you developed this and sort of integrated Esther into you, did you notice a difference? I know you legally changed your name. Did you
Mhm.
notice a difference in the energy whenever you legally changed your name?
Yes. And whenever I tried to put together my business or did anything, it would flow under Esther. When I was trying to get that, what's it called when you get your name licensed?
The
Uh,
URL?
the URLs and all that, nothing worked under Catherine. It was all Esther. Everything went smooth under Esther. Even when I was still toying with maybe do business as Esther, right? It didn't work. It did not work. It was all the way. And the more I did it, it was like I would get a surge of frequency, like a confirmation of joy. Like, yes, my energy would go up and I'd feel more empowered, I guess is what the feeling was, like a self-empowered feeling. And when I tried to push it away or kind of go the other way, I would just not feel good. It just didn't feel right. And that's the only way I can explain it. It's just something that I experienced and I knew I changed. And I love being Esther. It's a great energy. Everything's easier. Everything, understanding this channeling, understanding what the guides bring through or how things work started coming in real clear for me in a way that hadn't happened before. So it was like it got me up to another level that I was trying to reach, but I hadn't quite done. And maybe that's that accelerated ascension, and not everybody needs that jolt, but I did for some reason. My being, my higher self, I agreed to that, and I needed that to get me where I am now in this ascension process so that I could channel and find my place here in doing what I do.
So, Esther, do you think that people that are drawn to your energy, or people that have private sessions with you, that they may have had that kind of a transformational experience as well, and you're a part of their awakening process?
Well, I haven't had anyone say they had a walk-in experience yet, but I do know that they are on their path. They're already, the clients that come to me are already in their awakening process. They are. And they're looking for their next step, right? Because that's all you do is you go from step to step. That's how you grow, and you integrate it and you learn it, and then you go to the next step. And so I'm just part of that process with these Akashic records. When I was in your class, part of this awakening was learning who I was as my Akashic record opening to me. I was in my yard. I had come home from a vacation, and the guides asked me to go out in my yard. And I said, okay. I was very relaxed. And all of a sudden I heard that booming voice, like the angel voice that you hear from a movie. And it was an announcement. It just said the Akashic records are now open. And I was kind of looking around my yard because it was real loud over my head. And I thought, okay, wow, that's the way you do that. And it was like, ta-da, but that was it. So I went in my house, and I didn't know what to do with that. I just said, okay. And then what happened was I started having memories that I had blocked out as a child, things that had happened to me that I had no memory of. And there was some intense stuff that I did not remember. And so they opened me up. But I noticed when I started working with my channeling partners that I could also tell things about their Akashic record when they would have an issue or a problem. Something would come up, or even just something positive that they did that would help them know that they're more than who they think they are. That would come forward. So what developed was my sister was one of my first people. She let me work on her. The guides would bring in this, they would have me go into channel and journal all of the past lives for the person before I would meet. They would agree to a reading. I would journal it all. And like 1, 2, 3, 4, all these lifetimes that they wanted brought forward, I would explain this is not all your lifetimes, but these are the ones that are affecting you now. These are the ones, the energy that may be of benefit to you now. These are what the guides brought to me to tell you about. And I go and I am very organized. I do the reading with everything that I've written, and then I channel and answer questions and channel for them. So it's very straightforward. It's been a great way of organizing all that so that that person gets everything they need during that session. And I don't leave anything out. And people, it's been very popular. I'm getting whole families, sending their loved ones and friends that word of mouth, which lets me know that they really were happy, or they'll have more sessions with me on other things later, repeat business, right? So that you're being effective if you're getting that. And so that's what kept me going, And I also had some great things happen. Kevin Moore and Marilyn, you know who that is.
I do.
Yeah. He has a network as well, and for channelers. And so he interviewed me and put that on YouTube, and he has like 100,000 subscribers. And I think my video had like 8,000 people watch at last count. And I'm still getting people from his website. They call us channelers is what it is. And he just interviews just channelers. He doesn't do anybody else, right? I don't think you've
I
seen
don't
it.
think
Yeah.
not on that show. I know I
Mm-mm.
was interviewed on it several times, and with the Kevin Moore show is what it's called, and I know that that was the first time that he channeled, and Adironda I channeled, and Adironda and his beings actually had a conversation together,
Mhm.
which neither one of us had ever done that. But your kind of your business, your abilities, your confidence, maybe that was it, uh, blossomed after you were on his show because
Mhm.
you got that immediate feedback, right?
Well, and I had not done anything like, unlike Sheila, I hadn't written a book. I hadn't really been on much. And he says, "Well, how did we get together?" And I said, "I don't know. You all contacted me and asked me for an interview. I have no idea." And he said, "Well, we're just going to thank the Esther group," which is who I was channeling at the time, for that, because we just dropped in. And he said, "We can do this. We can do this interview." And I'm like, "Okay." And we did like a bio interview, and then I did a channeling, and he was really happy with that. But it was I just told him, I said, "Look, if this happened this way, then I'm ready. Otherwise it wouldn't have happened, period. My guides wouldn't have done it. So I must be ready to take that next step. So I'm just going to enjoy it and see what happens." And
Yeah, go ahead.
I had to quickly finish up my website when he called and all that stuff, because I was kind of dragging my feet a little bit. I had clients, but I was still not quite finishing everything. And boy, I got in line real quick with that. And it was kind of like a little push, to keep going, keep going. And so I've had a lot of support from the channelers, my friends there, but also from my guides, just letting me know that I'm on the right track. And
Yeah, I think when I talked with Kevin after you were on the show, or maybe I think it was after you were on the show, and I asked him if he saw it on my website because you're listed as a channeler on my website as under practitioners, and he said, I looked at that a long time ago, and but I couldn't say that it registered, so I think that could have connected the
probably,
dots,
yeah,
and and
maybe.
and that was when they tap him on the shoulder and say, "Okay, talk to this lady, Esther. She's the one. She's
Yeah,
got two names on that site." But
yeah.
so you do quite a bit with the Akashic records,
Hmm.
and did I did I dream this, or did you tell me that you have a new way of getting into the Akashic records?
Well, just that I had that method established where I channel it before I meet people. And that's the way, I mean, as far as the information, I go into a channeled state and I journal it. And so that's the method. That's it. I don't know if other people do it that way or not. I have no idea how they do it. And I just know that the lifetimes I bring to them are ones that the guides say are influencing or part of who they are now, because you have a body of work as a soul going from body to body. You have and you're finishing things and you're learning new things each time you come in. And so it's really kind of beneficial for some people. Doesn't have to be everybody, but some people really benefit from learning about that. It's like another step in um, showing them that they're bigger than they think they are. They're a self-empowerment, that they do have what it takes to navigate here, that they have been here a long time. And many of the things I bring up to them are things that they resonate with these lifetimes. And I don't know these people. So when I do them, I don't get any information. I channel it all and I present it to them. And they've been very satisfied on what they've gotten.
So do you think that through the Akashic records, then in what you channel through the Akash, that it's not like for entertainment or, oh yeah, I did this and this and this in a past life, but it's a learning experience for them as to what's happening right now in their life.
Yes, many times they will say, in that lifetime, you learned this, right? They'll talk about the experience and then they'll say, and this is what you got from it. You learned that you really learn to communicate better with people in that lifetime. Perhaps there was a challenge or something. And so it's not just an experience, which is valid, but it's also what you learned from it is what you take from lifetime to lifetime, is those learnings as you evolve and you expand your consciousness. So, and sometimes it happens in ways that people don't think it can happen. And now is the time to bring forward all of the good stuff that you did that can motivate you and that you can draw on here during this time of the shift. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that available to you, right? It is useful, but it's like I say, not everybody needs to do it. But for those that feel drawn to it, I encourage you to get some information like that about yourself.
Exactly. And I love it that you say this is what you're good at. And so many times people go into the Akashic records and only talk about something negative that happened and not the
Mhm.
positive things that happened to you or happened because of you. And
Mhm.
so that's an important factor that you go into. Um,
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say years ago, the energy was a little different and people did talk about a lot of things. And that still does come up in individual readings at times when someone may be having a challenge. They may be having something happening that affects them deeply. And it's not that often, really, but sometimes it can be connected to a past experience, but it's let go pretty easy now. It's not something to be dwelled upon, and you can think about it and mull it over and get what you can from it in this lifetime, and use that information for your benefit so that you can let it go. And letting it go is what it's all about, right? Those self-awareness moments, realization moments, where the energy came from, the stuff I found out from a kid that I had blocked still doesn't really feel like it happened to me, but I understand why I made a lot of choices that I did, right? I'm more compassionate to myself
And
because
that
I
is
understand who I am better. I'm more compassionate for myself.
absolutely, and that is so important to be compassionate for yourself. And I think that that's one of the things that people lose,
Mm-hmm.
um, is their own self awareness, their own self ability. And some say that a low self esteem or that feeling of unworthiness is really the bottom line to most everything.
Right.
And I think that it does show up in the Akash. It shows up in your channeled sessions when you're connecting with their guidance system and you're working in that. Esther, we have a couple of questions in the chat, and then if
Sure.
somebody would like to ask you a question before you get into channel about your experience and what you learned and how you learned it and anything else, is it all right if we just have them? I'll ask the questions that are in the chat, and then anybody else, they can just raise their hand. Is that all right, Sheila?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. One question by Stacy says in the chat, it says, so is the Akashic record opening for healing of them? Are as healing that karma, that is that important to heal that karma through the Akashic records?
Well, karma, there's a lot of different belief systems on karma, but you can draw on experiences into your life based on your frequency and past experiences, even in a subconscious way. So sometimes when you learn about your Akashic record, it lets you let go of some of that, right? You have a realization of, oh, that's where that came from, that fear, or even if it's fear of water, fear of different things, that can, certain experience you've had, you can appreciate how long you've been here on this planet. But the idea that this new energy is bringing forward is that we're going to learn in a different way now. So we're tying up all of that Akashic record and way of learning, that slow repetition of certain things over and over, that repetitiveness in the human collective. And so now is the time to kind of get familiar with that and not be afraid to look. I've had people really nervous about their Akashic record, of what they would find out about their self. Actually felt a little anxiety before we got started, because they just were afraid of what they would be revealed. And I've had to kind of create that space of love for them. This is based in love. It's not based in judgment, right? So when you look into those experiences, sometimes karma was based in you had something bad happen to you because you did something bad and you deserved it, right? But this isn't about that. This is the type of thing where these experiences happen to you for learning, and you grew from it. You expanded your consciousness, and you were given opportunities maybe in the next lifetime to look at it again, to learn it from a different perspective, or to let go of it. So it's really about doing it that way. And I don't know if that answered your question, but if you're drawn to learning about yourself, whether it's going inside and doing a meditation and asking your guides, what is it that I need to know about myself? I encourage that. Journal it, see what your guides have to say, or contacting someone and having a session. That's great too. Just enjoy who you are and appreciate who you've been all these years on this planet. Appreciate the experience you have that you can draw on now during this shift. You're awake for a reason. And so you're here to learn. And the first thing you start with is yourself. Because as you work on yourself, that's what raises your frequency. That's what really shifts your reality, is really just looking inside, right? And so that's my advice about the Akashic records. I don't know if that answered the question for you.
I think that does answer the question. And that they are open, and there's a difference in the karma, and I thank you for addressing that too. I know there's a lot of speakers and channels that are saying, "Oh, all your karma is erased," and it's like, you know, um, what is karma anyway? I don't hardly believe in it. So,
Well, it's your experiences. To me, it's your
right,
experiences,
exactly.
and they're integrated. They raise up to be seen. If something keeps coming up to you to look at, and whether it's uncomfortable or not, honor that. Look at it. Say, why am I triggered by this thing all the time? What is that? You're being asked to look at it now, not ignore it, not say, oh, I'm such a bad person because I feel this way. No, look at why it's happening. Ask inside, why is this going on? Am I being triggered from something that happened a long time ago or recently? Where is this anger coming from, or this sadness, right? And then you can let it go. Sometimes if you try and shove it down, it becomes more like a little volcano in there. Start stirring and will pop off, and it's just your body giving you signals. Your body and all of it, it's a communication process between you, your body, and your soul. There's always communication going on, and it's learning to interpret it and use it for your highest good. And that's what we're getting into, is how do you use it for your highest good to benefit yourself?
That's a great answer. Great way to communicate that. We have another question in the chat, and if any of you have any other questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, and we'll be happy to see how Esther can answer it. The question is from this one is from Solaris. How does one make sure that the voices are from the light? The booming voice reference makes me think of the voice of God technology from SSP testimonials. I'm not sure what that is, but you might know. Thank you. Solaris says, oh, here, secret space program.
Oh,
SSP.
okay. I never asked who opened those records or announced that to me. I did not. I just thanked them and let it go. I did not. It was such a powerful moment. I think I was just so surprised. I just accepted it. And I never got a clear identification of who announced, but I just know it was very loud and kind of outside of me. It was a very clear thing. Again, because I'm kind of a skeptic, and I think you have to hit me on the head because had I had memories that I didn't remember come to me, I may not have believed that was even me. So I had to have a real clear signal that this was something that it happened to me, that I was remembering from like a childhood, trauma. And it was time for me. I guess I was ready to hear that. They don't bring anything to you unless you're ready to deal with it, right? You're
That
ready
is
to
true.
take it on. But it was significant, and it kind of left me feeling a little uneasy and kind of a little in shock that I had something happen to me like that I did not remember. But I had had glimpses coming up to that point of the place where it happened. It kept flashing in my head. And I asked my dad, actually, he was pretty ill with Alzheimer's, but he could remember things from a long time ago. And I said, Dad, do you remember going to this place? And I asked my sister, do you remember going to this place? And she, no, I was too little, I think, and I asked Dad, and he goes, you remember that? And he just sort of stared at me for a minute, and he got kind of, I don't know, Alzheimer's people, you can talk to them about so much, but then you just back away if it's too intense. They can't handle it. And I just said yes. And he didn't say anything. He just stared right at me, though. And I knew, okay, there's something going on here. It was flashes and glimpses, but I didn't know why. And then when that record was announced and that memory was brought clear to me and they told me what happened, then I understood why I was seeing those flashes, and that place was coming back from when I was little that we'd only gone to a couple times, and it shouldn't have been something that there was no reason for it to come forward. There was, in my mind, there was nothing special about it, right? But there was something happened there, and my parents really weren't aware of the total significance of it. It wasn't either of them were not involved at all. They didn't know what all had happened to me. So it was a moment when they weren't really keeping an eye on me so much, right? So, that happens sometimes with little kids. And I didn't want to judge my dad or my mom in that moment. They were just trusting the moment, right? And had no idea there was somebody around that was like a predator, right? So it's amazing how I needed to know that. And I needed to know that because when I was fearful to do certain things or go places by myself, I knew why now.
Right.
Why am I so afraid to go places by myself? Why do I always want someone else to go along? I never wanted to go anywhere by myself. I was always tended to always have to have someone with me, or I didn't want to go anywhere. And, that was a question I had for myself. What's that about? I started being aware of some of my programs, right? My habits. Well, where did I get them from? And that had been my questions for myself. What makes me me? And some of the things that I didn't like about myself. I found out I had to have deep compassion for myself. It was fear. It was things that I didn't realize. My body was just trying to protect me, right? It would send me the signals of, don't do that. Don't go there. Don't be seen, right? Don't be seen. When I was channeling, I would sweat because I was being seen, right? I would physically have, a feeling of fear because I was afraid to be seen. But then I knew why I was afraid to be seen. What happened when I was seen, right? I was a target, right? When I was very vulnerable. So it made sense. It made sense for me in my life. So those records can open up to people and allow them to get through their stuff, their baggage. And that's really, it can also be self-empowering to have skills that you didn't know you had when you get a session where someone can go into that for you. And you can use it to pull that good stuff forward so that you can navigate here in a positive way.
Most definitely. Esther, a lot of people in the academy, I think one of the hardest things is to learn to trust the information that you're given, the information that comes through you, and to know that it is from the light, that you don't have to worry about it being from some other energy or some other realm, that it is from the light and is in divine order. Can you give any tips on how one knows that the voices that they're hearing or the connection that they have is indeed from the light?
For me personally, I would clear my space, and I would do that by meditation. And I found meditations through your website, Marilyn, through Lee Carroll Cryon, listening to him channel, and through the Stargate Academy experience. And what this does is all these people provide a high frequency container to lift your vibration up to a place. And all of my messages and all of the information I would get was positive. There was nothing in there scary. It was not telling me to do anything out of my comfort zone, so to speak, except for maybe channel, but you know what I mean. It was, or say anything to me that was demeaning or perhaps judgmental to me. All of my information for others was positive information. It was based in love. And I spent at first in the beginning at nighttime in particular, when all that I could feel all that energy coming around, I would put meditations on just to raise my frequency, because low frequency and those kinds of energies are just looking for something to resonate with. And if you keep your frequency high, they're not going to be interested in you. They're passing through, they're just looking for a match, right? So they're going to be looking for someone in that state where they are, that frequency. So I made sure that I stayed in a high frequency state, and I also relaxed and trusted and found joy in it. And that's a high frequency, joy, gratitude, right? And all that kept me out of fear, right? Because fear is a lower frequency. It shuts you down, and you may, feel judgment in yourself. And that could draw in some feelings of that being that mindset that says, oh, I have to be afraid of everything that's out there, right? And so what I did was I just kept a positive attitude, and by enjoying meditations and things like that, setting the intention to clear my field out and to resonate with those energies from the highest light, right? And you taught us that, Marilyn. You taught us that we didn't need to be in fear, but it's good to set an intention that you want to contact those in the highest order of light, for the highest good and joy of everyone that you channel for. I set that every time. When I do Akashic record, I ask for the records that are for the highest good and joy of anyone that I contact. As I meld with their consciousness and I get the information from the guides. I mean, that's how you get the information. It's all there available. And for me, so far, I have not had any information or anything happen that drew anything in that was scary, dark. It just hasn't happened for me in that way.
And that's the way it is. It's, intention is everything. Esther, is it possible? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I had a private from someone, and they wanted to know, how do you keep your frequency up when you have a spouse that listens to the news, a boss that's always criticizing, and people pulling you in 1,000 different directions?
Is that question for me or Marilyn?
Yes. No, it's well, I think they were asking it for you, because when you were talking about keeping your frequency high and being able to channel, the intent is they just want to know how you can keep your frequency high and still live life.
Right, still be part of it. Well, you can go into observation mode, and I found that one of the meditations I do is to get into a very neutral place. And there was a yogi, I think his name was Rumi, and he says there's this place between right and wrong. There's a field between right and wrong. I will meet you there. And it's a space of neutrality, basically, or balance. So you're in the middle there, and you're in a state of peace, and you're in a state of allowing. So it's a no judgment zone, right? And as you meditate and live in that no judgment zone, and you let go, even when you view the news or hear other people with their own path express, anger at the TV or what's being said. For me, when I hear that, and I live with family members that are polarized, they do have opinions, and I just listen and allow them to vent. I say, yes, it's a chaotic time. I agree that it is a chaotic time, and that we just really don't know how this is going to turn out. And that's usually my opinion. I don't feel like I have to defend myself or take a side in any way, because I even if I have to say the name Rumi, meet me in the field, Rumi. I need to be in that field of neutrality between right and wrong, no judgment, and just let them have their viewpoint. Because in higher consciousness, that's where we're going. It's not that everybody's going to feel the same way, but we're going to work more harmoniously together with different opinions. We're not all meant to look the same or have the same perspective on anything, but we can be in harmony with each other. And sometimes you might have to distance yourself from that person, or perhaps just let go of what it is that's bothering them and listen to something quiet on a break at work. I used to listen to meditative music or a channel from someone. I used to get on YouTube and listen to podcasts like this to raise my frequency, to shift my energy while I was working, so that when I went back into that place, I let go of their stuff, because it's heavy energy, isn't it? It's quite heavy, and it can be heavy in a room. I might have to, excuse myself from that room for a little bit if somebody's really going off, and not in a bad way if it's your living room, but you can find something. I need to go do some dishes right now, or I need to go do something else, right? Allow them their time. They will awaken when it's their time, and nobody could have done it for me until I was ready. So I just respect the fact that I had polarized issues. I had things like that in my life before I awakened. And so I can look back and say, when I was ready to change, I did. And so I have to allow them their space until it's time for them to change. But you're right. It's a heavy energy. And sometimes you will find that as you go into that neutral place more and more, they don't tend to even get as upset as much around you. That you may find that some of that sort of falls away from you. Even if they do it, it just might not, people that used to call me, don't call me anymore. And it's just, they're not in my reality that much anymore. Does that make sense? They sort of fade away because we're not resonating anymore. I'm not arguing with them. I'm not required to have a conversation and try and trigger them and wake them up. We're not in the business of, proselytizing and saving, like, in a religious sense. We're just here to provide the frequency and the space for those that choose to awaken. And but that's how I would manage it. I would listen to things. I put the ear pods in when I could. That way I didn't have to hear it. I'd close off the room. We put a door up to the living room so I can close the door when those things are on, and I go do something else. And my husband, we've been married a long time, and he doesn't get mad. He does not mind. If he's watching something that I don't want to watch, I'll just say, I think I've got some stuff to do. And he's like, okay, I'll say, watch your show. It's okay. I'm going to go, and that's what we do. I don't try and fight it out. Right. I don't worry about it. He's works full time. He's busy. When he comes home, I let him have that TV time, and I go do something else. So we manage it. You just got to get a little creative there with that heavy energy. I hope that helped.
Yes. Are there any other questions, Sheila?
I don't have any others.
I would love it if you could bring us a channeled message. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but if you could bring us a little channeled message and see how that goes. So
yeah, I'll be interested to see who comes in for this
eclectic group.
Yeah, just give me a minute here. We're just all going to relax and take some breaths and really go into that neutral space when you channel. And that space is where you kind of want to be most of the time, because it allows you to step aside. It allows you to step aside and hear the messages that are being given to you, or feel them, or sense them. And this vessel steps back. And we step forward, the Elohim energy, architects of realities, in angelic energy. And we thank you for being here with us today. There's so many questions that you have regarding moving forward in your life. but just know that it's to be done one step at a time. You are building a foundation for yourself in this new energy. Allow yourself to explore what interests you, what excites you. For in this way, your frequency will stay up. It will stay at a level that you can be open to what is coming into you, to be open to the changes that may be required as you learn new information. Change has not been easy for the human collective, but it is being amplified and accelerated now. And even those that aren't spiritual are going to be getting information coming in. They may get that information when they're driving their car, when they're doing regular activities, self-awareness moments. You see, all of this is for everyone, and no one is going to be left out. Some may be ready and take the opportunity, and some, their consciousness may want them to learn a few more things before they awaken. You never know what's ahead for someone. So if they are choosing a difficult path, and you know when you have friends or family members that are doing this, it's hard to watch. You feel like you could be of service. You feel like you could be of support for them. But we say sometimes allowing them to feel the weight of their own decisions, allowing them to go through perhaps a crisis mode or an intense time, a challenge. You can be compassionate and supportive where it's possible for you to, but just know you can't walk their path. And sometimes these difficult challenges are a catalyst for change. For the human collective, if it is comfortable, oftentimes will not feel compelled to change what it's doing, even if it's for the highest good of everyone. Even if it means that you might have cleaner water or a better operating system with your electricity. Even if you're not using so much of the earth, but renewable energies. You see, the human collective is going to be going through some difficult challenges in the next few years. This is your human family, the ones you're going to observe. We want to encourage you to work on your foundation, that solid point, that neutral place that you can go into, where you can let go and know that no matter what, everything is in divine order and will work out. But there is some uncomfortable, chaotic energies around you coming up in the next few years. And this isn't to be feared, but embraced. Allow it to come. For if you've got a good foundation, like the tree whose roots are solid in the ground, no matter how the wind blows, you'll be okay, won't you? Those trees have a massive root system. And if you look to nature, she shows you with a good foundation, you can weather some of these storms that are coming. And you can also be in support with your frequency without saying anything. For as you go into that place of joy and gratitude for everything that you've experienced and who you are, you radiate that out. So you can literally be standing next to someone in a store and they might begin to feel better because they feel your frequency. You're that powerful. You're like a battery. You hold a charge. You hold energy. And when you amp it up with our positive energy that's available, with our support from the Elohim, we are there with you. So is your guidance system you came with. And with your permission, we can accompany you. We can help you get through those chaotic times with extra energy and support. For this is why we're here now. This is why you want to communicate with us. You're being drawn in and being shown the information and how to navigate here because we love you. And that is our message for you today, to take advantage of this, to build your foundation so that you can radiate out peace, radiate out balance, so that those around you can feel it, even in the most difficult of situations. We love you and we honor you. Each and every one is unique. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful message from the Elohim,
Yes.
architects of reality. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Very, very insightful in dealing with the chaos that's around us. I wanted to be sure and mention Esther's website and her YouTube channel. I watched one of her channelings on her YouTube channel today, and it was excellent. I've watched them before, but this was a newer one that's been posted. Her YouTube channel is Esther 5D Energy. That's ESTHER, the number 5, D is in dimension, energy.
Fifth
And if you
dimensional energy.
yeah, definitely. And then your website, Esther, is esthergates.com. That's ESTHERGATES.com, esthergates.com. And you do private sessions as well and private consultations, correct?
Yes, I do sessions and I channel for you as well. I will do a personal reading, channeling, whatever it is that you need. It's on there.
So when you do a private session, do they ask questions or is it all you presenting information or Elohim or how do you work?
I usually bring in the guides that they're associated with, and it's evolving, Maryland. The Elohim has recently been showing up a lot in my channeling, and they 2 years ago in my journaling they asked if they could work with me, and I really didn't know who they were. And then I got introduced through like the Stargate and some of the other channels, and I thought that's what they meant, was I was going to be, listening to things. But no, they want to channel through me. And I'm like, now is the time, I think, with those architects to building realities. That's what we're all going to be, how we're going to be using the energy, is we're going to be taking us into that new earth. And all of us that are awakened are going to be bringing that here into our reality so we can start living a better life for ourselves and those around us. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Sheila, do you have anything else?
Well, yes, I wanted to ask real quickly. Do you want to tell people about your website, Marilyn?
I would love to. My website is adironda.com. That's ADIRON as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, D as in dog, A.com. Adironda.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. My YouTube channel is Adironda Marilyn Harper. I do a double digit broadcast every month, and the first one that you come to is free. And then I also do a broadcast every week called Spiritual Happy Hour. And as you know, I teach the Channelers Academy. I teach 3 levels of channeling. One is the live 2 day class, which, depending on when you watch this, it is in Tampa. The next one is in Tampa, Florida on April 27th and 28th. And it's going to be at the Embassy Suites by the airport, I believe. And it is a great, exciting 2 day class. And everybody channels by the end of the second day. And it gives you the basics, and wherever you are, whether you're a professional channel already or whether you're just beginning, it takes you to the next level. And it's a powerful 2 days of fun and excitement, and everybody channels as well as Adironda. And I also have the Channeler's Method, which is an all online course. The Channeler's Method. There's no live interaction there. And then we have a year-long course called the Channelers Academy, which is what Esther took. And it's also what the speaker last week took, Channelers Academy and Holographic Healing. And the Channelers Academy goes through the step-by-step process, teaching you how to trust the information, teaching you how to bring it in directly from the light and not allow anything else to come in, teaches you how to raise and live at that higher frequency so you match the energy of your guides from the light, and then teaches you kind of a little bit about how to start a business if that's what you would like to. So Adironda.com, all that information is up on there. Go through the tabs across the top and please check it all out and check out esthergates.com or check out Esther 5D Energy on YouTube.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And before we bring Susie up for a song, Esther, I wanted to check with you and see, is there anything that you have as final words for people?
I just want to encourage everyone. First, thank you for listening to what we had to say tonight. Thank you, Sheila, Marilyn, and all those that joined in. And just, I have to say, now's the time to follow your path, to try new things, to kind of step out of your comfort zone a little bit. And if you want to try channeling, try it. Be inspired to do some things with your spirituality that maybe you in the past you may have put off a little bit. Now's the time to bring it forward, because it's only going to help you with that foundation that the Elohim talked about in these chaotic times, keeping your energy up and handling those around you that may not feel the same way that you do. You know, they may be going into polarization. And so I don't care what it is, if it's yoga, channeling, whatever it is, pursue it. Allow yourself to experiment and know that you can't do it wrong, but it's good to have fun. It's good to allow yourself the freedom now. Now is the time to take that freedom and step into your own power and find what resonates with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so, so much. And thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it and appreciate the channeling. That was absolutely beautiful and a wonderful message for us all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Marilyn, thank you so much for being here. Birthday girl. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very appreciative of that. And do you have any final comments?
I think if there's anything I say, you know, as Esther said, as you do, Sheila, is jump into your life with both feet. You are the diamond of your life, and you are the creator. You've been through the hard times, and now you're coming out as a sparkling new energy, and it's really important that you realize that not everyone around you is on the same page, and to love them right where they are, but have your energy be where it is, and you don't have to defend anything. You just have to be who you are, and that is really the key. And I want to thank you, Sheila, for all the massive work that you do. I mean, you're everywhere.
Oh,
And it
thank you.
it does take a lot of energy and a lot of effort. So thank you, Sheila.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Esther. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to bring Susie up. She has a song for us. So Susie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
This song is by Jason Mraz. It's called Three Little Things. And I think it's like what Esther says and helping keep our frequency up. There are three little things when my life falls apart. Number one, I cry my eyes out and I dry out my heart. And not until I do this will my new life start. So that's the first thing I do when my life falls apart. Oh, the second thing I do is I close both of my eyes and I sing my thank yous to each and every moment of my life. I go where I know love is and let it fill me up inside, gathering new strength from sorrow. I'm glad to be alive. Things are looking up. I know above the clouds the sun is shining. Yeah, things are looking up. Love is still the answer I'm relying on. just three little things. Oh, 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 three little things. Oh, 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 oh. And the third thing I do when my world caves in is I pause and take a breath and bow, and I let that chapter end. I desire my future bright, not by where my life has been, no. And I try, 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 I try again. Yes, I try, 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 I try again, 'cause things are looking up. I know beyond the dark the sun is rising. Oh, things are looking up. I know above the clouds the sun is shining. Oh, things are looking up. Oh, love is still the answer. I'm relying on those three little things. Oh, 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 three little things.
Thank you, Susie. Thanks so
My pleasure.
much.
My pleasure. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And once again, Marilyn and Esther, I want to thank you so much for being here and, that beautiful message that came through. And also, the messages that you also brought through have to do with, people really stepping into their own energy and anchoring that, because that is so important. I always tell people, if you're on this planet, you're here for a reason. And it doesn't matter whether you think it's great or it's small, all of our frequencies together is what it's all about. And so thank you for just sharing that again with people tonight. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you. And so everyone, we are concluding for tonight. I want to thank you for watching us and for being here. I want to thank all of our Zoom audience for being here, for your phenomenal questions, for all of you who are watching and making the Conscious Awakening Network the network that it is. Thank you so, so much. And I send all of you much love and light and peace. And so until we are together again next week, namaste and much love, everyone. Have a blessed week. Bye-bye.
Bye.